Picture this, a frail old woman shuffling through a pharmacy, oxygen tank rattling behind her, picking up her heart medication like any other grandmother in a sleepy Montana town. Nobody looks twice at her. Nobody suspects a thing. But by the end of this movie, that same woman will single-handedly wipe out an army of mercenaries with her bare hands. Because she isn't just some old lady. She's a ghost from the Cold War that everyone forgot was still walking among them. Let's get into it. We open in the small town of Bighorn Ridge, Montana. Our first proper introduction is to Ellen Cole, elderly, hunched, dragging an oxygen tank like it's just another Tuesday. She fills her prescription, grabs a couple of six-packs at the local store, and looks, for all the world, like a harmless senior citizen killing time. Remember that word, harmless. It's going to become the biggest joke of the movie. At the same store, we meet our second lead. Abigail Cochran, a young woman with nothing left to lose. She's caught red-handed shoplifting candy bars and jerky by the town sheriff, a man named Winston. Here's the thing though. Abigail isn't stealing because she's a criminal. She's stealing because she's about to disappear. Her father, a man who battled the bottle for years, has just died, and with him goes the last thread connecting her to this town. She's planning to walk out of Bighorn Ridge and never look back. Sheriff Winston, surprisingly, shows her mercy. Instead of booking her, he has his deputy, a young, soft-spoken officer named Henry, drive her out to the edge of town. Henry tries small talk. Abigail shuts it down cold. He drops her at a gas station and drives off. And that's where things almost go very wrong for her. Two men, Kyle and Duane, spot a lone girl hitchhiking and decide she's easy prey. They corner her, pushing and pressuring her to get in their truck. And this is where the movie hands us its first real gut punch of foreshadowing. Because it's not Henry who comes back to save her. It's Ellen. The little old lady with the oxygen tank casually steps in, and within seconds, both grown men are on the ground groaning in pain. Abigail stands there stunned, staring at this pensioner who just took down two guys twice her size like it was nothing. Grateful and shaken, Abigail accepts Ellen's offer of a ride. During the drive, we learn Abigail's grand escape plan is to head south to Mexico, except her actual dream destination, Machu Picchu, is in Peru, a detail Ellen gently corrects her on. It's a small, funny moment, but it also tells us something important. Underneath the fighting skills, Ellen is patient, warm, almost maternal. Rather than dumping Abigail on the highway, Ellen takes her home to her ranch, a property that happens to sit right next to a massive construction site. Over dinner that night, the two women open up to each other in a way neither expected. Ellen reveals she knew Abigail's father. He used to help her with chores after her own husband died. And Abigail finally explains why her dad spiraled into drinking. A construction company called Duke Enterprises came through and destroyed the creek he loved. He never recovered from watching that happen. Eventually, in his grief, he wandered to the dam and drowned. Ellen listens, then offers her own quiet wisdom, that seeing the world is beautiful, but everyone needs a place to call home to return to. It's a tender scene. Two grieving women, an unlikely friendship forming out of loss. For a moment, the movie lets us breathe. It will not let us breathe for long. The very next day, a white limousine rolls up to Ellen's ranch. Out steps Richard Duke, the very land developer whose construction crew ruined Abigail's father's life. Flanked by his enforcer, Mitch, Duke wants Ellen's land for his luxury resort project, and he's come to make her an offer, a fat payout, a free property anywhere in his empire, a lifetime VIP membership. The full package. Ellen doesn't even blink. Her answer is simple, over her dead body. Duke tries to sweeten the deal, tries to pressure her, but Ellen makes it painfully clear. As long as she's breathing, this land is not for sale. Duke storms off humiliated, and in the car, he gives Mitch a chilling order: get rid of her by any means necessary. That night, sensing danger, Ellen quietly starts packing Abigail a bag of supplies for the road: food, water, and a hunting knife, just in case. It's a gift that seems small at the time. It will save Abigail's life later. Under cover of darkness, Kyle and Duane, the same two men Ellen embarrassed earlier, break into her home. Their orders: make it look like an accident. Duane starts sabotaging the staircase, but Ellen wakes up and catches him mid-act. What follows is the first real taste of what this harmless old woman is actually capable of. She beats him unconscious with nothing but her bare hands and her own oxygen tank as a weapon. Meanwhile, Abigail wakes to the noise and comes face to face with Kyle. In the panic of the chase, she stumbles onto a hidden gun and, in pure self-defense, shoots him in the shoulder. He flees, terrified, leaving Abigail shaking, unsure of what she's just done. Ellen calmly tells her to stay quiet. She'll take the blame if it comes to that. Here's where the movie starts twisting the knife. Kyle reports back to Mitch, whose furious two grown men got humiliated by a senior citizen. But when the police show up the next morning, they don't arrest the men who broke into Ellen's house. Sheriff Winston instead brings up the earlier parking lot scuffle, and, conveniently, his officers discover 12 marijuana plants in Ellen's barn. Under Montana law, anything past 4 plants counts as felony intent to distribute. Ellen insists it's for personal medical use. Doesn't matter. She's the one who gets handcuffed and hauled away, while the men who literally invaded her home walk free. It's obvious to everyone watching that Winston is either compromised or looking the other way. And Deputy Henry's discomfort with the whole situation tells us he suspects it too, even if he's not ready to say it out loud yet. With Ellen in custody, Abigail is left alone at the ranch, and curiosity gets the better of her. She stumbles onto a hidden room beneath the basement. Inside, a stockpile of weapons, a drawer full of passports under different names, and old photographs of Ellen in a military uniform. This isn't the retirement hobby room of a Montana grandmother. Abigail is starting to realize that the woman who took her in might be hiding one hell of a secret. Back at the station, we get a strange little breather moment. An officer admiring Ellen's tiger tattoo, comparing it to his own Taylor Swift ink, before the tension snaps back into place. Ellen corners Sheriff Winston and demands protection for her house, accusing him outright of working for Duke. His cold, flat no confirms everything. And sure enough, Kyle and Duane are already gearing up with gas cans. They're going to burn her house to the ground. Back at the precinct, Henry, worried about Ellen's health, brings her oxygen tank to the holding cell, only to find her collapsed on the floor. He rushes in to help. Big mistake. Ellen was faking. She disarms him instantly, locks him in his own cell, and calmly fights her way out of the station, taking down 2 more officers, including tasering them with their own weapon. Before walking out the front door like she's simply finishing an errand, she races home, hands Abigail the truck keys, and begs her to run before the police descend. Abigail refuses to leave her behind. Loyalty over survival. And within minutes, the police, led by Winston, surround the property. What follows is one of the most satisfying scenes in the movie. Winston struts up, gun drawn, ready to bring Ellen in by force. Ellen disarms him in about 2 seconds flat and puts him on the ground in front of his entire squad. Humiliated, Winston calls for heavier firepower. Henry, sensing this is spiraling out of control and worried about Abigail still being inside, goes in unarmed to talk her out. That's when Abigail shows him something that changes everything. A map her father secretly kept, connecting a string of accidents across the county. A ranch that accidentally burned down. Cattle wiped out by a mysterious botulism outbreak. An owner who coincidentally took his own life afterward. Piece by piece, Abigail lays out a pattern too consistent to be coincidence, and reveals that Henry wasn't actually the first to find her father's body at the dam. Duke's men got there first, which means Duke's men may have killed him. Outside, Mitch arrives with a private army of mercenaries, men far more dangerous than local cops. Winston stalls for time, begging for 3 minutes to get Abigail out safely. Henry refuses to hand her over and starts questioning why Duke's private security force is even standing on American soil pointing guns at a house. Winston, torn but ultimately spineless, gives the order to move in any way. Realizing they can't protect an unconscious hostage in a firefight, Ellen makes the brutal call to knock Henry out and drag both him and Abigail down into that hidden basement room, locking them in for their own safety. And now, the movie finally lets Ellen off the leash completely, while a background check finally uncovers who she really is. A former KGB operative who moved to Montana in 1999 under a new identity, codenamed Sword and Shield. A small army of mercenaries is closing in on her house from every direction. What they don't know is that Ellen has spent the last few minutes turning her home into a kill zone, rigging booby traps through every hallway and doorway. One by one, the attackers get shredded by her traps. A car rams toward the house. She shoots out the tire before it gets close. The front door swings open. A trap sends a man flying across the lawn. And when the mercenaries finally breach the house, Ellen becomes something out of a nightmare. Moving silently through the shadows, taking out professionally trained killers with single, precise shots, disarming men twice her size, and turning their own weapons against them. Down in the basement, Abigail manages to free Henry just as a mercenary breaks through the hidden door. Henry gets overpowered fast, but Abigail steps in and cracks the attacker over the head with a baseball bat, saving him. Upstairs, Ellen's body finally starts to betray her. Years of lung disease catch up with her mid-fight, and just as she reaches for her oxygen, Mitch spots his opening and opens fire. She's hit. She fires back, but Mitch hides behind a fallen mercenary's body until she runs dry. Then he taunts her, tells her she must have been a machine back in her prime, before demanding she beg for her life. Ellen's response: ice cold. She simply tells him to aim for the head. That's the moment Henry appears behind Mitch, gun raised, and turns the tables completely. With Mitch tied up, the trio finally gets answers. Why is Duke so desperate to get rid of Ellen right now, when the county was already going to seize her land within the year anyway? Mitch cracks under pressure and reveals the real motive. Duke is drowning in debt to some very dangerous people, and if his resort isn't finished by next summer, he's a dead man. Ellen's land is the only thing standing in his way, and he's out of time to wait for the legal process. But the movie isn't done twisting the knife. While Abigail tends to Ellen's worsening condition, Mitch secretly palms a fallen tool, a wine opener, and when Henry gets too close, taunting him about being abandoned by his own sheriff, Mitch stabs him and takes him hostage, setting the house ablaze on his way out. With flames spreading and gunfire raining down from outside, Ellen, Abigail, and the injured Henry retreat back into the hidden basement room and escape through a secret tunnel none of the attackers know exists. Outside, Mitch and his men watch the house burn to the ground, fully convinced everyone inside is dead. They have no idea. As dawn breaks and Mitch's men comb through the ashes for bodies that aren't there, Ellen leads Abigail and Henry to a truck she'd stashed away in the woods. On the drive, she finally opens up about her past, how the KGB plucked her off the streets as a child and trained her to become a killer, how she never had a real home until she met her husband and built one from scratch. And now, once again, that home has been taken from her. But grief has to wait. They need hard evidence to bring Duke down for good. Abigail remembers her father may have left something behind, and the group heads to his old trailer. Sure enough, buried among his things, they find documentation directly linking Duke's construction empire to the string of accidents that destroyed other ranches across the county. Meanwhile, Duke gets a call he's been dreading. The Russian creditors he owes want their money, in person, immediately. In the woods, Abigail finally breaks down completely, overwhelmed by guilt. For years she was embarrassed by her father, brushed him off as paranoid and unstable. Now she knows the truth. He wasn't crazy at all. He was right about everything, and it cost him his life. That grief hardens into resolve. She and Ellen aren't running anymore. They're going after Duke. Henry goes straight to Sheriff Winston with a warning. The state police are already on their way to arrest him for his role in all of this. That night, Duke learns the woman he thought was dead is very much alive and coming for him. One by one, his security detail outside starts disappearing into the darkness. Duane, terrified out of his mind, hides Duke in a closet with a gun and stands guard, bracing for the inevitable. Meanwhile, Abigail sneaks off to plant explosives at the dam, the same dam where her father died, when Kyle suddenly appears. In a gut-wrenching reveal, he confesses that he was the one who actually killed her father. As he beats and taunts her, Abigail pulls the hunting knife Ellen gave her all those weeks ago and drives it into his stomach, leaving him for dead. Back at the estate, Ellen has already eliminated every single guard. When Duke hears footsteps approaching the closet, he panics and empties his entire gun through the door. When Ellen finally opens it, Duke braces for death, but she tells him flatly she's not here for him. She's here for Mitch. When Mitch arrives, Ellen makes it personal. He burned her home down, and now he's going to answer for it. She shoots him in the hand to disarm him, and when he demands a fair fight, she gives him one, gouging out his eye mid-struggle before finishing him with his own weapon. Ellen drags Duke out into the forest and gives Abigail the signal. The explosives go off, and the dam that destroyed her father's spirit years ago finally comes down. As Duke curses at Ellen, one of the Russian debt collectors arrives to collect his signature and instantly recognizes exactly who Ellen is, treating her with the kind of respect reserved for legends. Duke, foolishly, assumes the man has come to save him from her. He couldn't be more wrong. Ellen lets the Russians take Duke away, fully aware of the fate that awaits him. Weeks later, we catch up with Abigail reading a newspaper. Duke is officially reported missing following the massacre at his estate. Henry, now promoted to town sheriff, stops by to deliver Ellen's medication personally. He and Abigail share one last warm goodbye before Ellen and Abigail load up her father's old trailer and finally set off together, headed, at long last, for Machu Picchu. What makes this movie work isn't just the twist of a sweet elderly neighbor secretly being a trained Soviet assassin. It's the emotional core underneath it. Two people who've lost everything: a home, a father, a family, an identity. Find something worth protecting in each other. The action is brutal and satisfying, but the heart of the story is that quiet dinner table conversation early on, where two grieving strangers decide to trust one another. If this breakdown kept you hooked from start to finish, do me a favor, don't scroll past without leaving a comment. Seriously, it takes 5 seconds, and it means the world to this channel. And if you're one of those people who's watched any of my videos this week and still haven't hit subscribe, come on. You know who you are. Hit that button, join the crew, and I'll see you in the next one.